Welcome to my June financial reset video. Today I'm going to walk you through all the details of my income, what I spent in May, what we did well in our budget this month and not so well as what my net worth is as of the 1st of June. If you are new here, my name is Caro. I create personal finance, budgeting and lifestyle videos. I live with my husband in Portugal. We are a dual income household. I work part-time, he works full-time. We don't have any kids or pets. I cover some of the expenses and my husband covers the rest. We are investing and saving quite aggressively at this point of our lives because we want to reach financial independence. We also want to buy a home in the next 5 to 10 years, depending on where our situation is with citizenship. If you're interested in following my journey on how we navigate all these big money moves in our lives, then hit subscribe. We'd love to have you here in this little community. Let's jump in to see what happened in May. So we're going to start by looking at May and what happened during the month, as well as putting in my income for the month and then allocating all the transactions that happened into the sheet so that we can analyze how the spending went for the month. So as you can see, May started off with a balance rolling in for 1,157 euros. And I have allocated all the transactions from the 1st of May all the way to payday, which was the 22nd. So I stopped at the 21st, just to give you an idea. The money that I rolled over did cover me up till this point, and I've still got 133 euros and 44 cents. This will be used to allocate to my investments that I put away at the beginning of every month, alternatively getting through to the end of the month. But I like to use pay yourself first approach. So technically that money is already being put aside for paying myself first on the 1st of June. But for the sake of just explaining what's going on, I just wanted to stop at this point because my budget is split into two portions, and I'll get into that a little bit later when I show you my budget for June. So what I'm going to do now is input my income for May, and now I'm going to categorize the rest of the transactions that I had for the rest of the month. Okay, so now that I've categorized all the transactions, I'm going to show you what everything tallied up as. We spent 582 euros on groceries, which is a little bit high and quite surprising. Water was 36, petrol we didn't have any, toll fees 380, internet and phone was 74.69, which is the bill normally every month. Electricity was down a little bit. It's normally over 100, but because we were away for a few days in April, that would have come down. Transport, didn't use the trains at all. Bank charges 716, and there were a few small doctor's visits and things, so that was 490. I put 400 euros of my paycheck into investments, which we are only putting money into ETFs at this point of our journey. Subscriptions came to 12.98. Our gym memberships for the month, both of ours, is 38.40. Clothing, we actually got some gym clothes for my husband, and I got a pair of gloves. And we went to the movies. These were just the snacks. The tickets landed up in the April budget. Beauty and toiletries, 75 euros. That's quite high, but I was stocking up on a few things that ran out. So that's basically all of the spending for May, and I think it looks pretty good. If I have a look at our goals, I set up this budget so that it can look at whichever goals we want to set for these three categories. The first section I went through were my necessities. Those are all our core living expenses that we don't have the option of paying. We have to buy those things to survive. This is our savings and investments area, and then this area is the fun section. So let's have a look to see. I set mine to the 50-20-30 rule, which is exactly as the rule states, but you can adjust these. I didn't for this month. We were under for necessities at 31%. We didn't quite hit the goal for looking ahead, and we were quite a bit under the 30% of guilt-free spending. But this is a little bit skewed because a lot of the income that's coming through here is actually from my April paycheck, which needs to get me to the next pay slip. So this is actually April income and this is May income. So this is a little bit off, but I'm happy with the ratio of, or let me put it this way, I'm happy with the amount of money that I put away for each of these categories. So the total that I spent for May was €1,366 and 9 cents. And we've got €1,208 to move into June, which is a really good number. I'm very happy with that. So now we're going to jump into the June spreadsheet, and you can see that that amount has already pulled through to June, which is great. What I want to run through now is the way that I use this as a budget for myself. I basically add in the transactions which I know are going to come through for the first portion of the month that is going to get me to my next payslip. As I mentioned earlier, this amount, €1,208, has pulled through from May. So that money needs to get me through to my next payslip. So what I've done is broken down my budget into two sections. The top section is the amount that needs to be covered up until the next payday. And then these expenses are the ones that I know will come off after the next payday. So I don't have to worry about these just yet. I just have to worry about these expenses, which I know we typically spend for the first portion of the month. Having put these in, I can see that I would spend roughly €809 up until this point. That includes me putting away €400 into investments, specifically ETFs, as I mentioned earlier. And then we know that certain things are going to come off, roughly €300 on groceries up until the next payday. Internet and phone is normally coming off in the first portion, and then bank charges always come off. Got some subscriptions that come off, and we know that half of our gym fees will come off. So that comes to €809, which should leave me with almost €400 to spend on other things that might pop up until the next payslip comes through. What I'm going to do when transactions start coming off in June, I'm going to get rid of all this data, and then I will put in the actual figures that come through from the 1st of June off our bank statement. Okay, so I'm just going to do this with you. I'm in my Alan Gray account, and I'm going to have a look at adding my figures to my net worth tracker with you. I'm going to start over here. So I'm going to look for the balanced fund retirement account first, and that'll be over here. So I'm just going to grab that. Oh, we can see it's come down a little bit. And then we're going to look at the stable fund. Okay, and then not that one, just this equity. Go back. The unit trust. This equity fund is sitting at 120. Okay, so we can just do this. And then the others are in Coronation, so I'm going to log out here. Okay, so now we're on the Coronation side. This is the industrial fund, equity, that's this one. There's only one fund here, so I'm just going to move this over. Put this one in here. Okay, so that's everything. I just have to look up this amount quickly. And this was my high yield savings account. This is a retirement account in a balanced fund, another retirement account in a stable fund, an equity fund unit trust, and then another unit trust in the industrial fund with Coronation, and then my tax-free, which is in Coronation as well. That's a balance plus fund. This amount here is shared account with my husband, and so is this one over here. These we split down the middle in terms of net worth, and so this is where these are all ETFs. These we trade through Interactive Brokers. Then this is technically travel money. I need to get a new card at some point, and actually that money will be spent, so I can then take it out. And this is our high yield savings account through our bank in Portugal. And this is our savings that we put away for taxes, as well as our emergency fund in case anything happens. And then we have our car. This is half the value of our current car's value, and this is an estimate. So that brings the total to 223,000 euros, which is an increase from last month. I'm really pleased about that. Just some context on this, because these joint accounts obviously make up a much bigger portion of my net worth. My husband does work full time. He is in a different industry. He does earn more than me. So that is why those increase a lot more than what I can obviously contribute, but we are a joint household and we share everything, and so that is how we have set up our finances, and it works for us. So that's how my net worth is able to increase the way that it does. Everyone's situation is different. Maybe the money that you put away every month isn't into a joint investment account. Well, as you might be able to tell, these funds that I had when I first started investing and putting money away were all in my name, and now it's changed since we moved. We didn't have the thought of making a joint account while we were still living in South Africa, but when we moved here, we opened a joint investment account, savings account, and our whole bank account is actually shared. So that's just the way we decided to do it. Obviously, you can do this all with your own accounts and work out your net worth every month or every 6 months. Like I mentioned in the beginning of the video, we are working towards financial independence and hopefully at some point drawing down on these funds that are big enough to support our day-to-day expenses. So that gives us a little bit of freedom to decide whether my husband wants to work full-time or not until he's 65, which he really doesn't want to do. So we're working really hard so that we have a life before we retire. So that is everything that I do to set myself up for a good month financially, keeping an eye on everything that's going through the bank just about every day, and making sure that we are saving enough for our future selves. I hope this video inspires you to track your money in some way, shape or form. Maybe changing 1 or 2 small things every month so that you can also work your way to financial freedom. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you want to follow my journey and tips to help you with your personal finance and budgeting. If that's something you're interested in, I'd love to have you join the community. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. Bye!